2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Azatec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV and Film Vault Limited.
Kender du ikke det der, når du kommer ind til en fest, så ser du fyren, hvor du bare tænker, wow, han ser godt ud. Det er tøjet fra Goldman. Vi har lige siden 1930, det vil sige 4 generationer, serviceret folk, der gerne vil være klassisk klædt med et lille twist. Vi ligger her 100 meter fra rådspladsen og er klar til at servicere dig med ærlighed, god rådgivning og vejledning, som du ikke har oplevet før. Er du den mand blandt alle, som skiller sig ud, eller gerne vil skille dig ud, så kig ind til mig, så skal jeg hjælpe dig godt på vej.
The GTR24H webshop is more than just a merchandise store. Our concept of racing proverbs carries a wide selection of t-shirts, cups and posters with selected proverbs from the racing and sim racing universe. If you are looking to have everyone recognize your passion for racing right away, try one of the t-shirts from the racing proverbs category. We are regularly adding new products, and all new products started with an introduction discount of minimum 10% for a limited time period. The current introduction sale runs until August 29th. You can also find copies of our race posters and podium posters available as both paper and metal plate posters, as well as jigsaw puzzles for both teams and fans alike. The store is run in partnership with our fulfillment partner Printful, producing the products on demand and shipping from Charlotte in North Carolina, Los Angeles in California, Toronto in Canada, Riga in Latvia, and Barcelona in Spain. That way there is minimum shipment time and no production overhead. Have a look, visit shop.gtr24h.org.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting gtr24h.org/VPN. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and wherever you're watching in the world, welcome along to the official practice session of the GTR24H 24 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. Yes, we bring you here to this 7-kilometre behemoth, although half cut down from what it originally was back in 1929. Of course, a real behemoth there. 15 kilometres was the original Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Nowadays, though, around half the size, 7 kilometres, but no less terrifying, just as we see there. One of the GT cars getting it all wrong going through Blanchimont, and luckily here with these practice sessions you do have a case of you can reset the car. If you're not familiar with one of these practice sessions, well, it's unlimited drivers in their cars, so you will see multiple team cars out at the same time. And of course, once we get to qualifying tomorrow, that all stops. All the drivers have to share one car. In this session, you can freely press escape to come back to the pit lane with no penalties whatsoever. This is a time really for the drivers to get into their groove ahead of tomorrow's qualifying session. And well, it's great to have you along with us. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours, bringing you some of the action here in this practice session. No doubt then it's probably a wise decision to probably bring you up to speed with some of the standings going on into today's race, or at least this weekend's worth of racing. And of course, if you know what Spa-Francorchamps like is with weather, then you'll know that possibly here in the Ardennes Forest there's always a chance that the weather can really strike at the most inconvenient times. And what we have on the radar at the moment so far is absolutely nothing. Look at that. It's not often I get to say that here when I jump into a commentary box here at GTR24H. There's always a threat of rain somewhere along this season. Absolutely none of that so far in the heart of the Ardennes Forest. So we're looking at dry running all throughout this practice session, which is pretty much exactly what the drivers want to hear. They'll be wanting to fine-tune their setups ahead of tomorrow's session. Looking at the sort of weather forecast, we're predicting clouds tomorrow as well around about this time, so that's probably going to be dry running for qualifying as well. A lot can happen in 24 hours, mind. Make sure you do tune in tomorrow as well. If you're new to GTR24H, well, it's great to have you along with us. If you are watching along on YouTube, we do have our live chat. Make sure you get involved, ask your questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. It's only me tonight holding the fort, so I hope you're okay with that. I'm okay with it anyway. I've accepted it. You will too. I'm sure you will. And I believe we do have the standings to help us run through. So we'll start first with the DPI Championship standings heading into the 24 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. Well, looking at the table at the moment, it seems like there's a very familiar team at the top of the table. Burst Esports Simplexity have not dropped a single point, all but the pole position bonus points at Monza. They have been absolutely flying this season. They have a very healthy lead coming into today's and this weekend's racing action, to a point where they could, in theory, get themselves to a point where they could really have it a tough time to be caught. Of course, they have been phenomenal this season. Unison Racing in second place on 67 points, been on the podium every single time this season, with their best result happening at the 12 hours of Interlagos last time out. Adrenaline in that number 33 machine in third place on 39. 79 Axel in fourth place on 37 points. Viducton in the number one car in fifth place with the 21 points. XRL Esports, number 48 car. Watch out for that one. Clean slate so far. Let's see how they get on at Spa-Francorchamps. Moving on to LMP2, it is a closer field there, that is for sure. Burst Esports Gunnar Sunglasses are leading the way on 91 points, 11 points ahead of Sem9 Axel. Sem9 Axel having the one win, Burst Esports Gunnar Sunglasses with the 2 wins so far this season. The other win has gone to Juicy's Motorsport Club at Sebring. They round off the top 3 in the championship. They're currently on 69 points. Team Iris in 4th place on 36 points, with Cyberlinks Racing in 5th on 17, and Team Iris rounding off our LMP2 challenges with 6 points so far, scored them at Monza. For the GTE Championship, there is a healthy gap for a certain number 74 car. Yes, that Juices Motorsport Club machine is at the top of the standings with 2 wins so far this season, 2 second places, and hasn't yet been dethroned off of that pole position spot in GTE. That puts them on 94 points. Second place, MCM Motorsports, picking up the win at Interlagos last time out. They're currently on 62 points. DS Sim Racing Lab, well, they managed to win the whole thing but it was only Andy Kurtzen behind the wheel, so they had to face the penalty for that. So they will score no points for Interlagos. That puts them level with Mugen Sim Racing, both on 39 points. Unison Racing in the 717 car just a point behind on 38 points. The 54 Musto Pescara car on 36 points. The sister Musto car on 53, in the number 53 on 35 points. Try saying that 3 times quickly, Kieran. And rounding off the order is the 166 ID SimSport car with 33 points. Very much all up for grabs for that third place in the standings, with the majority of the teams trying to vie for their place inside the top 3. Having a look then at our final classes, but by no means the least, the GT3 Championship standings. And at the moment, Volante Racing by Aztec SimSports currently lead the way. They've had 2 wins this season, only off the podium once at Monza, puts them on 78 points. Glam Racing in the 404, bit of a rocky start, but they have been absolutely rocking since Sebring. A win and a second place in their last 2 races puts them on 65 points. DSR Gadget, who sits in third place with the treble 7 car on 54. Fourth place, the CKR machine, that really recognisable Brazilian liveried car, took the win at Monza. They're currently on 48 points. The B32 Racing Machine, the number 32 car, in that position, 45 points. Mugen Sim Racing in the 82 on 44, and Teleforningen on 188. Yes, it's been a while since I've said that name, but I'm pretty sure I got it right. I'm just gonna crown myself in glory. Anyway, Teleforningen are at the bottom of the table so far on 31 points. Well, that's what the championship standings look like at the moment. We'll be back in just a short couple of minutes for a couple of commercial breaks. Don't go away. Oh, there we go. There we go. I've been briefed properly. Sorry, not properly, but I've actually been briefed. It's a challenging thing to speak and listen to at the same time. It's not your fault, Peter. It's my fault. Completely my fault. Anyway, no, we're not going to commercial break. We're here at the moment in this practice session. It's all right. It happens to everybody. Anyway. Looking at the GT3 classes there, you can see on the left-hand side of your standings at the moment, you can see what the sort of lap times are at the moment. 2:13.7 is the fastest lap time in our GTE class, I should say. And we will see how they get on in this session today. And of course, throughout, it's sort of an interesting mind game to play when you come into practice. How much do you leave on the table? How much do you take away? What's your strategy heading into the practice session? Is it just a case of you're running all the heavy fuel, you're running a race in? Are you running a quali setup? But then you just don't want to give too much away going into the racing action. As we see, unfortunately we don't know who's in that DIS Sim Racing Lab machine, but it is currently third in the standings at the moment. And a bit of overtaking due, just to get you used to that. And of course, 24 hours at Spa-Francorchamps, twice around the clock here at this legendary circuit. And if you like a double header of 24-hour races, we've got here in Belgium at Spa-Francorchamps, and of course at the end of October we'll be heading to Le Mans to round off the series proper. Under the lights at Le Mans at the Circuit de la Sarthe. Can't wait for that one. Hopefully you'll join us for that one as well, as I hope it's not a spooky weekend being at the end of October, but you just never know. So here comes the DIS Sim Racing Lab machine making its way towards the start-finish line to start another lap here at Spa-Francorchamps in that Porsche, as they're now making their way down in towards La Source. And there we see the car making its way through there. That's making its way on towards Blanchimont. I believe that's going to be the Gadget Huset racing machine. As we see then that Sim Racing Lab car making its way down in towards Poissel through that right hand. Got to be very patient on the power, as then you make your way in towards Speaker's Corner. Finishing off the rest of that, they call it the double gauche. I've always known it as Pouan, but I'm happy to be corrected. I normally am, to be honest with you. That's normally how it goes. I've just opened up the YouTube chat. Good evening, everybody. Wavy in the chat saying, better be supporting XRL. Well, let's see how they get on in the final 2 races of the championship. How many points can they retrieve going into this one? Luke Etheridge, a very warm welcome to you as well. LMP2 and GT look very close. It is practice. Let's give them that due just for now. And let's see how they all go in. Now, the weather, of course, we discussed at the start of the stream. Bone dry is looking like for this entire session. So looking good in terms of getting the drivers into their rhythm, into some sort of racing stint, maybe even a bit of qualifying stint towards the end of the session. And just like, I guess you could say a PSA to all the drivers out here. Oh, that's getting very close, going in towards Blanchimont. And they'll be wanting less of that, both cars, in towards tomorrow and of course towards the race on Saturday when it begins. Definitely want less of that heading our way through. Communication is going to be key, I think. It is up to the faster car to safely get their way past. And like I said, a bit of a PSA for drivers who are possibly got the stream on, listening in to me. Don't know why, but, you know, on your head be it. You can, of course, join us in that green room on our TeamSpeak. We'll grab you, have a chat with you. We'd love to have a chat with you in the practice session. Let us know how it's going. Let us know how your season's going, that sort of thing. Just a few minutes to help you just sort of unpack on the season so far as we head towards the 24-hour stint races. It should be fantastic to really go through. And quite a few corners have many names on this track. Yeah, that's very true. And I know exactly what you're talking about with no name. As again, one of the cars getting slightly out of the way coming out of Malmedy there. I totally understand what you mean. Speaker's corner, X corner, no name. This corner in particular is the one we're all talking about. Yeah, it's got a multitude of names, but I believe the circuit is now going by Speaker's corner. It did have no name for quite some time. I think even before 2010, it didn't really have a name. I think it was unofficially called Speaker's Corner, but as you were saying, Luke, it's had names such as X Corner. I've called it X Corner once before. But it's also had no name. No name was lovingly adopted for a time being. But I think they do call it Speaker's Corner now. And Speaker's Corner there, making our way through. And that is the Volante Racing by Aztec Sim Sports machine making its way down through in towards double left-hander of Puon. I believe that's Matthias Harvig behind the wheel. His way now through in towards Lefonia. Very much trying to make sure the car is hooked up nicely. I think this is his first couple of laps out onto the circuit. It's always good to get some tyres into the brakes and temperatures. No, Kieran, try that again. Get some temperature into the tyres and brakes and really warm up the car, get it up to that racing stint speed. As we see all the Glam Racing 404 machine weaving left and right. And of course, Spa-Francorchamps, it being the endurance layout, it means we have the endurance pits. So it's a very, very long pit lane. It is one of the worst places, if not the worst place, to pick up a drive-through penalty or any sort of pit stop penalty awarded to you, because you spend an eternity in the pit lane. And of course, the pit lane exit really throws you into the midst of Eau Rouge and Vadillon, trying to negotiate your way not only through the traffic, but make sure you get yourself up to speed down the Kemmel Straight and then heading towards Lake Holm and Malmedy. Should provide some interesting aspects coming into qualifying and the race. As we see one of the burst cars making its way through the LMP2. That's the Gooder Sunglasses machine, the number 94, leading the LMP2 championship at the moment, 91 points so far. And they have had a win at Monza, a win at Interlagos. They haven't been off the podium all season long. So their form is looking pretty good heading into the last two rounds of the championship. They'll be wanting to keep up that momentum as much as they possibly can, heading their way through towards Lefonia now, coming out of Puon. It's interesting to see what sort of lines these drivers are going to be taking, the different classes as well. Always great to see who's going to be sort of taking advantage of the lines. How are they? Obviously, we know how the hypercars and the LMP2 cars, they are very much aero heavy. They're very nimble. With the GT cars, yeah, they've got the grunt, but then through the corners, that is where they're going to be picked apart by the performance vehicles. as we see the Burst Gooder Sunglasses machine making its way in towards the final corner, in towards the chicane. No, it is the chicane. Unfortunately, they don't call it the bus stop. It doesn't look like a bus stop anymore. That's why you can't call it that. It's affectionately known as bus stop. And I totally agree that, you know, it kind of should be, should it? Yeah, all right, let's leave it there. There's the XRL esports machine, the number 48 hypercar. Of course, starting on a clean slate as they look to score some points here at Spa-Francorchamps. And the XRL team, I believe 5 drivers will be taking to the field over the weekend. We've got William Novak, Leo Yates, Josh Hughes, Joshua Sutton-Wood, and Jaime Higuera, sorry. That's right, I should back myself a little bit more, but they've got a striking livery, very recognisable on the grid now. And it comes to a conversation that Yusuf and I had towards the early part of the season where we rated liveries, and if you weren't there for that, you missed out on a great time. We went through all the liveries of every single class and said, we like this one, I'm rating this one X out of 10. Produced the finest line from Yusuf bin Sahel I've ever heard, that he gave a team a 7, and that included the cake bribe. You see, you had to be there at Matsushita, otherwise it's you won't get it otherwise. Anyway, we decided then that very much a great field of teams, great liveries as well out there, and really making their brand, making it stick heading out there. And, you know, the Burst car you see there, the LMP2 car, the Burst Esports Gooder Sunglasses machine. And I can't wait to speak with them, because they always, when they come in for an interview, that Burst Esports Gooder Sunglasses machine, they know exactly what they're doing. You'll see when we get them in for an interview at some point over the weekend, you'll absolutely see what we're talking about. The likes of Rasmus Andreasen, Tom Aldermenger, Damien Scovron, Joao Pitais and Cameron Roger. Just see what they're wearing. They're very good. I think it's Damien Scovron behind the wheel, because he's here in our sort of cameras. I can see him. No, don't take that out of context, don't worry. Oh, that's a bit out of shape there for the Aztec car, and losing a wheel as well, so hit the wall very hard at Speaker's Corner. And of course, it is practice, so you do have the saving grace of hitting escape and pretending like it never happened. Fortunately for whoever was behind the Aztec car, or behind the wheel of the Aztec car, we saw. Sorry. We'll pretend like we didn't see it. Go on. Everybody now, we're all in this together. Pretend like you didn't see it. I think it is Scovron behind the car. Yeah, that his wheel movements I can see. Only I can see them, but he's definitely going through Maldi now. So Damien Scovron behind the wheel as he makes his way down in towards Lascelles. He'll then tackle in towards No Name. Damien Scovron, a quick driver for the team throughout this season so far. See how we can get on over the course of the weekend, and it's very good you're spending your Thursday with us, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening. It's great to have you along. Hopefully your Thursday's made even better by being here. It's great. Luke in the chat saying missed the bus stop layout. Yeah, I have to agree, but the new chicane does provide more overtaking opportunity. Yeah, I mean, you add a heavy braking zone in towards the final corner and make it a chicane, it's going to encourage drivers to at least have a go. Whereas at the bus stop, you know, it was a 90 left, 90 right, 90 right, 90 left. It didn't really inspire much for putting on a late move down the inside to see if he can make it stick. It was very much single file through there. Well, the bus stop chicane at that point just started you straight onto the start-finish straight without having to scrub much speed off. That was another thing why it wasn't really an overtaking opportunity. But as we make our way now through out of the chicane, almost called it the bus stop chicane with Damien Scovron, making our way down towards La Source. Who's this heading through in towards Blanchimont then? Could be another move down in towards the chicane there. Thought about it. Very much thought about it then. That looks like another Burst Esports Gooder Sunglasses car there, which it is. That's not Damien Scovron, I know that one. I know who it's not, which doesn't narrow it down. That's about three other drivers it could be, so narrowed it down just slightly. But of course, in these practice sessions, you can run multiple cars with the same team. you could in theory have all of your drivers driving in a practice session at the same time. So, I mean, we haven't had it yet, but in theory you could have about 90 drivers on the track at the same time. It's theoretical, hasn't happened yet. I'm waiting for the day it does. I'm waiting for the day it does. Of course, these drivers will have been putting in practice hour after hour on their own rigs, on their own setups, and their own way and time. But this is the, if you like, the official practice session. You have a chat with us and pretty much see what you're made of. And also the start-finish straight was never really straight. That's very true. Yes, it always curved around. It's like the Imola start-finish straight, isn't it? It's always hark back to the Grand Tour when they call it the isn't straight, which is it isn't straight. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. It is a straight now, though, albeit a very, very short one. Very short run down towards La Source once you got out of the chicane. With it being the endurance layout. Would you rather start going in towards La Source, or would you rather start going into Eau Rouge and Radion? Both are terrifying concepts, but I don't know. Devil's advocate, which would you pick? What would you pick as a first corner of the very first second of Spa-Francorchamps? Love to know. There's the other one of the Burst Esports Scooter Sunglasses machine. Of course, championship leader in LMP2 as they make their way in towards the final chicane. And as far as I can see, MCM Motorsport number 27 car is leading the way in this practice session so far. And obviously not too, you're not looking too much into these times at the moment, because you're not really sure how hard they're pushing, what the fuel's like, what the tyres are like, and what sort of strategy they're looking for. Are they just going for race pace at the moment as we ride on board here? Fantastic section going through Eau Rouge and Radion. It's the Belgian Grand Prix coming up this weekend, but keep it with us. Why not? It's been very, very up and down, very unpredictable with the weather. Even this week, earlier this week we were supposed to have rain at the circuit on the Saturday and the Sunday, with completely bone dry on Friday. Now it seems to have sort of flipped around, where if there's going to be a risk of rain, it's going to be on the Friday, tomorrow. So yeah, it seems to be dry for Saturday and Sunday, which might be a relief for the drivers, but of course we are right in the heart of the Ardennes forest, so there are sort of these rain patches that could just appear out of nowhere, which is always fantastic to keep the drivers on their toes. It's why I'm glad I'm this side of the camera and not that side of the wheel. You get to call it. Oh, it's raining now. What do we do? You have to cope with psychological rain. Phrase, psychological rain. I really do love that phrase. Isn't it a great phrase? I love it. Oh, dear. Well, at the moment then, we have plenty of drivers out on track, putting in the lap times for this open practice session. And with all to play for going in towards this weekend, lots of drivers, especially going in towards the championship standings, there could be prizes to be won already. They could all but secure them. And in other series and in other championships up and down the field, it's as tight as anything. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this opening half an hour. We'll be back after these commercial messages.
2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
The GTR24H webshop is more than just a merchandise store. Our concept of racing proverbs carries a wide selection of t-shirts, cups and posters with selected proverbs from the racing and sim racing universe. If you are looking to have everyone recognize your passion for racing right away, try one of the t-shirts from the racing proverbs category. The current introduction sale runs until August 29th. You can also find copies of our race posters and podium posters available as both paper and metal plate posters, as well as jigsaw puzzles for both teams and fans alike. Have a look. Visit shop.gtr24h.org.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the digital snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting gtr24h.org/VPN. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back then to the practice session of the GTR24H 24 hours of Spa-Francorchamps, and unfortunately that's Kasprich, who is not having a great time. Lost the back end and has lost a rear wing in the Aztec SimSports by Volante racing machine. There is Damien Scoffron in the Burst Esports Gooder sunglasses machine as he now makes his way through in towards Pouon, that double left-hander. If you are just joining us, a very, very warm welcome to you, whatever time in the world it is. It's great to have you along. Great to see you with us today. As Damien now makes his way through in towards Lefania. Back onto the bow he goes then as he makes his way on towards campus. Before he makes his way then on towards Stavolo. And very much got to be careful about the tyre wear here, because that wall on your left-hand side is a lot closer than you think it is, especially when you're trying to nurse those tyres towards the end of your stint. See Scoverin now make his way on through Blanchimont and then making his way then up towards the final chicane, coming in towards the last two corners, trying to make sure he secures both apex. In fact, no, neither. Well, he got one and then he came into the pit lane. So Damien Scoverin now making sure he hits the speed limiter and make sure he finds the pit box as well, because this is also important, making sure you optimize the pit stops and optimize your strategy as much as possible. Oh, that's well that was well held. Had to use the gravel to help him, but Josh Hughes managing to just about hold on to that one in the XRL Esports machine. Well held, I'm going to say there, Mr. Hughes. Well held. There's Damien in the pits then, as the car's down off of his jacks. Damien at the moment just break at the moment. Maybe a change of tyres, bit of fuel on board as well. You can see how long the car's been stopped for now, about 30 seconds so far. So that does indicate a sort of change of tyres, possibly a bit of fuel on board as well. All good practice for the weekend, making sure you optimise the stops as much as possible. There we go, 41 seconds for Spa-Francorchamps as he now makes that long and painful journey going in towards the hairpin, and then still with the limiter on, has to go all the way down the hill then. And this is where you'll hear all those cars going past and you'll want to just try and get off the limiter as much as possible, as early as possible, but you're just subjected to that very, very long pit lane then. John then. Cars take to the field and see where they can run with it. He's making his way through there. That's his way through now. Onwards towards who on he will go. There's the XRL outfit. Looking to get some points here at Spa-Francorchamps. Get off the mark here as well. If you are interested, of course, we have a variety of links for you to have a look at, have a gander at as well. One of the most important ones is probably going to be spotterguide.gtr24h.org. That will give you all of the liveries, the drivers, the numbers, the classes, as well as a preview of this weekend. There's a lovely little track map in there as well. And also they've got the link for the live timing there as well. So head over to spotterguide.gtr24h.org and you'll find a lovely little document you can download and take away with you for the weekend, and that's yours. That's yours. You get to keep that. So treat it well. It's also got the calendar towards the end as well, so you know what the times are for the upcoming weekend. They're all in Central European summertime, so make sure you calculate accordingly and make sure that is all okay. We're seeing a replay here, I believe, of Alvaro Incausti going through Puon. Now, what's happened to Alvaro? In fact, it's now going through Lefonia. Does he lose the back end at some point? Yeah, that kind of looked like a back end loss there coming out of the second part of Lefonia. And it looked like perhaps he did get that car back up and running in working order, but there might be another teammate out there who's also in the car, behind the wheel of the car as well. It does get confusing when you see 2 or 3 or 4 cars of the same livery. You think, hang on a minute, that's not right, and then you forget, oh no, this is allowed. They're allowed to be in the same car, all running at the same time. This is the only session of the weekend they're allowed to do that, so don't get caught out if you spot 2 cars that look exactly the same at different parts of the circuit in this session. That is absolutely normal. It's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. As we see Damien Scoffra make his way down in towards Bruxelles. Looking at his lines there, and well, I was just having a look here at I've got it in one of my lovely little tabs here about the weather. Of course, we all know what the weather's like here at Spa-Francorchamps. We all know what the weather's like at the Ardennes Forest, and looking at it, it looks very positive at the moment. It's looking very clear, as you'll see in the bottom left of your screen. Looking like a very clear, there is actually some rain, not over the corner, Bruxelles, but actually over Brussels, so that's pretty much northwest of the circuit, quite a distance away, and even then, it's only a sort of drizzle, light rain, so looking pretty good at the moment. Towards this practice session. Of course, we get to on the dot of 1900 UTC, so that's I have to do a bit of converting there to make sure. So that was, as far as I can tell, yeah, that was about, yeah, that seems about right. So that's the most up-to-date weather we have at Spa-Francorchamps, and whatever that map says, happens at the track, it's good. It is good. We've got the GTE cars making its way, coming out of the final corner, one of the MCM Motorsport machines. There's the XRL machine as well. The car making its way down in towards Brussels. Keep an eye on that weather, of course. As it is the Ardennes Forest, it could change very quickly, that is for sure. Very, very quickly. We've seen in the past in endurance races and in other series around here how quickly the rain can just appear out of nowhere at a certain part of the track and teams aren't expecting it. It can happen in the Ardennes Forest, and such is the nature of the track and the distance, how much it stretches across. It could be raining at one point of the circuit and be completely bone dry on the other. I actually had the luxury of visiting Spa-Francorchamps, and if it is a circuit you ever get to go to, make it Spa-Francorchamps. It is a fantastic circuit and I really recommend going. Not only do you realise how steep Eau Rouge and Radion actually is, but you also appreciate that at one part of the circuit it would be absolutely blue sky, sun beaming down, and as soon as you look at the TV screens at the other half of the circuit, the other, pretty much the opposite end, it's grey skies absolutely chucking it down. It's a very weird phenomenon at the Ardennes Forest, but I think that's what makes Spa such a jewel in the calendar. You know, people want to win at Spa because it's a challenging circuit to get right. You've got a mix of high-speed corners. You've got the final chicane, which is the slowest part of the track, where you really have to test not only the car's suspension, but also you have to make sure you've got the mechanical grip and you haven't sacrificed too much to keep the tyres warm, that you just overheat them going through in towards the final few corners. It really is a track which is a fan favourite. Drivers love racing here as well. You know, it's a soft spot for everybody. I have to admit, a real soft spot amongst drivers and teams alike. There is the XRL machine making its way through. We did see briefly there, we saw the MCM Motorsport car. I believe that was, it could have been Angel Vanegas there. I could be wrong in that one, but he is currently top of the GTE standings with a 2:13.754. That hasn't changed very recently. We have got a couple of drivers out there and teams at the moment. We've only got the one hypercar at the moment, which is the XRL esports machine. That's currently lapping out on the circuit. We see the LMP2 car as well of Damien Scoffron, his way in towards Brussels. Quite a few LMP2 cars that are lapping the circuit. We did see earlier the CM9 axle machines, but I think they went inside for a little bit, perhaps to figure out with the setup and have a play around in these. I say the last moments, as that's a very harsh phrase to use, but a lot of time will have been spent since Interlagos honing the setup, just focusing in on those strategies. That it almost seems harsh to say this is the final hour, but you'll still have plenty of time coming in towards tomorrow's qualifying sessions to get the setups right, get those strategies absolutely spot on, and make sure you've got every chance. You give yourself the best chance of getting as many points as possible. That's the only way forward with endurance racing. And as we've learned over the years, especially at the season finale last year, that you could be in full control of the lead of the race, of your class, and all of a sudden your brakes fail out of nowhere. The brake setup that you have completely fails on you. If you were watching with us last year, you'll have seen that was a very hectic last 2 hours, and the heavens, boy, did they open in the final hour at Le Mans. Moments like that, it's the dramatic moments like that that really just make us love motorsport, make us love sim racing. That's what we're here for. It's the XRL machine again, making its way down towards Brussels. It's ablaze at the moment on the front of that car. They're getting, well, a little bit dull over the circuit. A bit of cloud coverage over there, but it's right for now. It's not meant to rain at any point during the session, as far as we know. So, curse that now. That's exactly what I thought. That was my New Year's resolution. It was broken in about 6 minutes, but there we go. thing about Spa-Francorchamps, again, such a legendary circuit to be going racing at. And it used to be this 15-kilometre behemoth, and one Sir Jackie Stewart was once quoted as saying the most terrifying corner he ever came across was the Master Kink, which you could still try and get access to it, but much like the old banking at Monza, it is very, very much a relic of the past, but it used to run through the village of Spa and beyond. A few of the corner names here actually come from the villages and towns the track actually passed through in its early iterations, so always a good bit of history about Spa-Francorchamps. And a very fun fact, if you're a Formula 1 fan, this track, if it were built today in this exact iteration, it wouldn't be allowed on the calendar. I'll let you guess why, but we'll come back to that later. It's weird, that one. It's very, very weird, the reasoning why. But there's Tom Aldermenger in the Burst Esports bit of sunglasses machine. There's Josh Hughes in the XLR machine. XRL. There's two DS Sim Racing Lab machines as well, out on circuit, both pretty much out on circuit together, line of stern. The XRL machines manages to just find its way through, pick the spot perfectly, and drive through. There's Damien Scovron, making his way in towards the first part of Lécon, and then on towards Malmedy. Make our way down towards Bruxelles, getting very wide over the curb on the exit of Malmedy there, just using as much of the track as possible. Why not? That is the case. And I think we might have Tom as... unfortunately, his name is just Tom, who's popped up in my messages saying, I'd love to have a chat. But I know I've got to find out who you are, Tom. It's a mystery. Oh, is it Tom Aldermenger? Okay, that's fair enough. Yes, we're happy to have you in here, Tom. Once you're done with your practice stint, of course. We'll leave you to it for now, though. Yeah, I'd love to have you in the green room. Join us in our team speak when you get the chance, and we'll drag you into our little commentary box to have a chat to you. If you are a driver and you are in that team speak, the green room is where you need to go if you would love to have a chat. We'd love to have a chat with you over the course of the practice session, with you for just over an hour and a bit left of this official practice session, just to give you a taste, an idea, a little taster for tomorrow's qualifying session. See, well, who has the upper hand, who will be going into tomorrow's qualifying session, maybe feeling a little bit confident. There's the Gadget Husit car making its way around. That's Matthias Harvig then, his way down the hill. This right-hander which dips away from you as you try to apply the brakes, and you're still descending as you apply the power. It's a very, very tricky corner, Purcell. You've got to be careful not to overcommit through the corner, not put the power down too early, otherwise you really do suffer from understeer. You've got to take that perfect bit of speed through, and what you'll often find is drivers sacrifice the entry in towards Purcell so they can catch the apex and put the power down earlier on the run towards Speaker's Corner. Not a bad strategy, mind. And there is Matthias Harvig then, joining up this weekend with Carl Lykkegaard, Michael Ciccolini, Stephen Sagsgaard, and Mads Hedegaard. I believe we have Tom with us. Ah, yes, I hear the user was moved to your channel notification, which tells me that Aldermenger has joined us. Tom, good evening to you. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. Enjoying the action, enjoying the cars out there. Tom, I mean, it's great, Spa-Francorchamps, isn't it? Let's just start with how great of a track this is. Hopefully, you feel the same.
Yeah, it's my shared favorite track.
Oh, shared favorite. Okay, I've got to know what it's shared with now.
Coda, Circuit of the Americas.
Ah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. No, good choices of racetrack there, as we see one of the DIS cars getting a little bit out of shape there, going through the high-speed corners. I mean, yourself and Damien are currently lapping out on the track in your Burst Esports Good Sunglasses machines. I mean, you've had a great season so far. How's the team spirit coming into Spa-Francorchamps?
Highly motivated. Yeah, but I guess we're doing all right. We're first in the championship, so yeah, basically we're highly motivated to keep this momentum up. Just to get good results in the final 2 races and see where we end up.
Yeah, absolutely, and your team has not been off the podium once this season. Of course, you've had 2 wins, one at Monza, one last time out at Interlagos. You've had the 2nd place at Matsushita, 3rd place at Sebring. You haven't been off pole position once this season. It's fair to say it's been a very successful season so far.
Yeah, well, yeah, we would have liked to have one more, but that's always the case, I guess. But we can't complain about the qualifying performance. Yeah, 100% pole position rate, which is all down to Damien.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been phenomenal in you put him in the car for qualifying. He just seems to extract the perfect amount of performance on that perfect lap. And as we head in towards the final 2 rounds of the season, both 24-hour races, as a driver point of view, how does that change up? Obviously, we've had 12 hours up till now. Is there a change of strategy, a change of mindset when we go twice around the clock?
Dread. The feeling of dread. It's always... yeah, when it's coming up, when you sign up, you're like, all right, we'll see it when it comes. And then now it's right around the corner and you start to dread it, and during especially. And then in the morning when the sun comes up, you start to get hope again. I never know why I do it, but we do.
You do it for the love of it, I'm sure. I mean, when we come to 24-hour races, I guess there is such a thing as your nighttime driver. Who would you say your designated nighttime drivers are here at Spa?
Honestly, I think we have at least 3 that wouldn't mind driving at night, including me. Yeah, Damien also said he wouldn't mind doing it, and I know Rasmus is also a bit of a nighttime driver. So it's more of a challenge to find the daytime drivers.
That's a bizarre one. That's not often you hear that phrase.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, we'll leave you to it at the moment, leave you to get back on the track. But Tom, it's been a pleasure to have a chat to you, and good luck with the weekend.
Thanks.
Tom Oldeminger there from the Burst Esports Good Sunglasses machine. We see one of his teammates, Damien Scovron, onto the Kemmel Straight and making his way down on towards Lacombe. And yeah, as Tom said, Damien has been the reason they've kept their 100% pole position record for the season. He is an absolute monster. As soon as you throw him into a qualifying session, he knows what to do to extract the performance out of the car, out of the tyres, and just make sure he puts in that perfect lap. It's happened every single time so far. That 100% record, I'm sure Damien will want to keep that for himself. Interesting as well how the Burst Esports LMP2 team want to find the daytime drivers rather than the nighttime. And when it comes to Spa-Francorchamps, yes, you've got lighting. You have more lighting than you would at Le Mans heading around the circuit, but it's not overly. It's not you're thinking the likes of Yas Marina or any circuit like Bahrain, where the floodlights pretty much make it think it's daytime. It very much is still nighttime at certain parts of the track where it is just completely bathed in darkness. You really have to be having your wits about you to make sure you get the consistent lap times there. Make sure you do it all in the dark as well. Really all in the dark. I said earlier that this track, if it was made today and tried to be ratified on an F1 calendar, it wouldn't be allowed. And that's because it's over 7 kilometres long. How much by? 4 metres. Yeah, I know, it's pedantic, isn't it? That's why I always say 4 metres and 7 kilometres. Spa-Francorchamps, but that is the reason why it wouldn't be allowed. I'm sure there'll be a special dispensation if it were the case, but it's got a special place on the calendar. And with the drivers as well, you heard from Tom, tied up there with Kota, with the S section going through. Just a great track to go racing, a great track for racing as well. As we watch on with Damien Scovron, here's one of the track highlights. Down through Eau Rouge, up the hill through Radion, a steep incline, the blind apex as you head over, relying solely on the lights, the marshals and your steering wheel to make sure you get yourselves through and over the crest okay. You're putting quite literally blind faith into the corner and hoping no one's on the other side. As we still watch on for Scovron, who makes his way through now in towards Malmedy. all eyes will be really on the LMP2 car this weekend to see if Esports can keep up their 100% qualifying record. 2 wins so far for them this season. Can they make it 3? Only one way to find out, and that's by having this weekend. There's the 2 Acetec cars making their way in towards the double left-hander. And the Acetec cars at the moment in the GTE classes, they've also had 2 wins this season. It puts them 13 points clear of the 404 of Glam Racing. Acetec here racing Naz Hugaveen, Mashai Kasprish, who we've seen out there having a couple of issues, but seems to have got on top of those issues now. Alicio Neto, Alexander Sesha, and Arda Erkin all behind the wheel this weekend. And that's what I love about it. Some teams will have 3 drivers, some teams have 5. Looking through the spotters guide here, so it's a real mix of, how many drivers do you throw at a 24-hour? As long as you have 3 of them, you're absolutely fine. But you could have up to 5. You could even have 6 if you really wanted to. But 5 seems to be a good number, and for the teams with 4 drivers. But I suppose at that point, it's making sure you try and split the stints as equally as possible. I guess it's easier said than done. Again, that's the job for the team manager. I just shout in the box. I'm much happier up here, much safer up here, calling the action. And hopefully as well, you're enjoying this practice session and this rambling. That's all I can say at this point as we enjoy the cars lapping around the circuit. We'll leave you with that, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes after these commercial breaks.
2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting GTR24H.org/VPN.
The GTR24H webshop is more than just a merchandise store. Our concept of racing proverbs carries a wide selection of t-shirts, cups and posters with selected proverbs from the racing and sim racing universe. If you are looking to have everyone recognize your passion for racing right away, try one of the t-shirts from the Racing Proverbs category. The current introduction sale runs until August 29th. You can also find copies of our race posters and podium posters available as both paper and metal plate posters, as well as jigsaw puzzles for both teams and fans alike. Have a look. Visit shop.gtr24h.org.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back to the second hour of the broadcast of the official practice session here, the GTR24H 24 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. Great to have you along with us, and going into this second hour we have Damien Scoffron still at the top of the standings in that Burst Esports Gouda sunglasses machine, the only car out on track that's gone below 2 minutes. 1:59.680 from Damien so far. Definitely putting his set up to try and grab another pole position in that LMP2 class, but running very wide at the exit of campus there as we head our way through in towards Stavolo now, and onwards he will go. At 1:59.6 was his best lap so far, and his teammate, one of his teammates I should say, Tom Alderminger, who we spoke to before the break, his best lap time 2 minutes flat. Couldn't do it if you tried, I guarantee it. 2 minutes flat for Tom Alderminger, and then it's the XRL Esports number 48, the hypercar, 2 minutes 625. Just looking at overalls here, leading the way as well in the GTE class is the number 27 MCM Motorsport car of Ivan Aguado, 2 minutes 12.969. Leading the way for the GTE class is Maciej Kasprzyk 585 Aztec Sim Sports by Volante Racing, a 213.922. There's your overalls so far, as there's quite a few drivers out on track, as far as I could count, about a good 20 plus drivers out on track at the moment, looking to just get those lap times in, just to make sure they get those strategies in as well. There's currently your fastest driver out on track, and fastest driver is actually more accurate. Because if you've just joined us as well, if you're unfamiliar with GTR24H, well, welcome along. Where have you been? A great time to join us, though, in time for this weekend's 24 hours of Spa-Francorchamps, as every single driver in the team can drive the car in this session only. From tomorrow, you're only allowed one car for all of your teammates, and the luxury of pressing escape whilst you're out on track is absolutely taken away from you. This is your last chance to make a mistake and press escape like nothing ever happened. So use it wisely. That's what I would say. That's absolutely what I would say. Yeah, but we haven't looked at the weather in a while, have we? We saw last time we had a bit of rain up towards, not the corner of Brussels, but actual Brussels, to the northwest of the circuit. And looking at it now, updates, any changes? Well, at the moment, I can say no. There was a bit of rain towards the west of the circuit, sort of the southwest of the circuit, very much looking at 30 plus kilometers away, easily, 30-40 kilometers plus. So no threat of rain at the moment, but of course we'll keep you updated on how that all plays out. Of course, that's pretty significant, because whatever that radar says will happen out on track. So very much so, the drivers have to watch out, keep an eye on it as well, as they put through their laps in this practice session. As I said before, Damien Scoffron, the only driver out there so far underneath that magical 2 minute barrier, which leads me to believe that pole position is going to be much more under the 2 minute barrier than we are leading to believe at the moment, as there's the 48 XRL Esports machine, and I'm unsure who that is behind the wheel, but it is one of them. It's one of 5 drivers. It is, well, it says Adam, but I had a look on the spotters guide and there is no Adam, I don't think. So, unless that's an alias, unless they're known by Adam, whoever you are, Adam. It could be a testing driver. That's a fair shout. It could be. It could be. But in the meantime, they are looking to get off the mark this weekend with a fresh, clean slate. William Novak, Leo Yates, Josh Hughes, Joshua Suttonwood and Jamie Higuera all looking to get off the mark here at Spa-Francorchamps. A relatively new team to the series as well. So they're just looking to pick up as many points as possible. We're eager to see how they all get on today. Not only today, but looking towards the weekend as well. The Unison Racing number 17 car has also been out on circuit at some point. Artem Shulaev was out there at some point in this session. I'm not sure if he's still lapping the circuit now, but he did have a couple of laps under his belt. I'm sure he's probably come back into the pits and he won't play for now. Let me see if I can find him. No, he's not out on track at the moment, so I've had that confirmed by my source here. But looking like he's been in the garage. Has he even been out on track? I don't think he has, to be honest. He might be waiting for that perfect opportunity. You never know. You never know. What goes on in these practice sessions for these drivers and these teams is great to watch on. And it's beyond me, says Peter in my ear. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it's beyond me. It's beyond him as well, he says. Also, if you've got a spare browser with you and you're watching along, make sure you visit spotterguide.gtr24h.org. It's a great document here that can take you through such things like live timing. You've got a circuit map there. You've also got a list of all the teams, all the drivers, and a place where you can go to their social medias. You can go to their YouTube channels if they have them, but also you can tune in to their radio. Yes, you can. You can tune into what the team is speaking over the weekend. That's all at spotterguide.gtr24h.org. And that is yours to keep, that document. So use it well, use it wisely. And hopefully you have a great time this weekend. And that just adds to your experience as well. Oh, and no littering whilst you're there. That's one of the Aztec cars getting all sorts of out of shape. Coming over Radion then. Didn't quite see who it was. I know it was the Aztec car, and there is the RL Esports hypercar making its way through Lecom on towards Malmedy. Making its way now down the hill towards Bruxelles. Have they? Peter's very ominously said, "Have they got their driver data set up?" We'll find out. So the alias of Adam is still unsolved. But as Peter said in my ear, it could be a test driver, so that could be the reason why. It could be a reserve driver as well, just getting some laps, and you never know. You just never know. But we had some consistent laps as well out there. Whoever's been in the Aztec car has had a couple of issues out there. I know Mache Ashbricks was struggling in this session, had a moment going through Lecom. I'm not sure whether it was him having the moment over Eau Rouge and Radion. I might have absolutely done him dirty there. It absolutely wasn't him, but it was one of the Aztec cars because there's two of them lapping out on circuit at the moment. And perhaps if I have a play around with my sources here, I could try and find out who is out there. We've got Mashai Kasprich, who's out there, but you've also got Alexander Sersha, who's also lapping the circuit in that Aztec car. 4 of the treble 7 cars are out there, as that's the 404 Glam Racing machine. Going to a stop just off of Bruxelles. I think that was Henrik Hoyer who was behind that car, and it is Henrik Hoyer who was behind the car. So just coming in towards Bruxelles, either Henrik was just not happy, either he might have actually invalidated the lap. He might just sort of to come back in and start all over again. Sometimes that is the way forward. As we see then Lukagard making his way down in towards Bruxelles. Carl Lukagard in that 777 DSR Gadget Who's its car. 4 of them out on circuit at the moment, and I just need to double check how many of them have entered. Not all of them are there. Not all of them are there. Michael Ciccolini is not in this session just yet. Not a full house for the 777. That's a shame. But, there's still good time in the session. Go on, Michael. Just for the fun of it. Join in. Put a lap in. Go on, Michael. You know you want to. But we've got Carl Lykkegaard, Steven Salgsgaard, Matthias Harvig, and Mads Hedegaard all out on circuit at the moment. The only driver not out there, Ciccolini, at the moment. And of course, that's the beauty of these practice sessions, because the driver has the car, not who the car is for all the drivers, if that makes any sense. Answers on a postcard. But every driver can run in the car at the same time in this session. So if you see 4 or 5 of the same car, that's normal for this practice session. As we see 777 make its way through in towards Blanchimont, and now heading his way up towards the final chicane is Lykkegaard. As you're hitting both apex, and it gets back onto the power and towards La Source. You put in those consistent lap times, time after time, and making sure consistency is king. Up and down the order, then having a look at lap times mainly to see. We've seen at some circuits how the hypercars can pull away from the LMP2s. Some tracks, the LMP2s really do have the upper hand. It's circuits that seem to have a lot of aero dependency. The LMP2 cars will really put up a fight with the hypercars. And the hypercars in a straight line are faster, but through the corners, that is where the production cars really come into their own. And with Spa-Francorchamps being a very aero-heavy circuit, a lot of high-speed corners, you will find that the production cars will have a great time here at Spa-Francorchamps. And Damien Skovron is having the best time of them all with that 59.6 so far in this session. And as far as I can see, and as far as I can tell, still the only driver who's managed to dip under the 2-minute barrier. And for Tom Oldenminger, I think he'll be the most frustrated out of all the drivers of the practice, because he's on 2 minutes flat, but he hasn't broken through the 2-minute barrier just yet. 1,000th of a second. You couldn't make a 2-minute lap time flat even if you tried. This is what I love about it. It's such a spectacle. It really is. Wherever you're watching us as well, it's great to have you along. If you're watching along on YouTube, don't forget to use the YouTube chat. We'd love to hear from you. Who are the flags flying for this weekend? Maybe you're also doing your early scouting as to who could be at the top end of the table, at the pointy end of the table, almost, coming in towards this weekend. Angel Benegas makes his way in towards La Source as he gets back onto the power. Currently second fastest in this practice session as he makes his way down the hill, making way for, I think that was the XRL machine. It was the XRL machine, as Benegas makes his way up the hill, up through Radion, not taking that at full gallop just yet. That's one of the Acetec cars behind him as well, as he'll make his way down the Kemmel Straight. And I think it might just be a case of trying to find some space out on circuit. He wasn't full attack going in towards Eau Rouge and Radion. He very much let the XRL car go, and of course once you're coming out of the hairpin, you really have to be on the throttle all the way to really build up that momentum. But if you lose out of the hairpin at the top of the hill, it really costs you, even going in towards Les Combes and towards the entrance of it. It affects how much speed you can carry through and how much speed you're at the end of the straight. So it's a very, very important corner. Henningsen, we're watching now, make his way through. Double left-hander of Pouon now making his way on through this Lafonia section, making his way towards Campus, then towards Stavelot. So he's going to make his way onto the stretch now with the one of the 777 cars moving across just to let him through. Very much trying to take as much speed through Blanchimont as he can. He's then making his way in through the final chicane on towards the top start-finish line. If you make your way down towards La Source, then you make your way to the other start-finish line, which is where the race will start from, going in towards Eau Rouge and Ladion. That should be an interesting one for Saturday afternoon. Hopefully you will be joining us for that one. Now, here's a driver that made headlines in GTR24H at Interlagos. Now, Andy Kurtzen did the whole 12 hours of Interlagos solo. Remarkable achievement. Unfortunately, that is slightly against the regulations, so it meant that DAS Racing didn't score any points at Interlagos. So, although a remarkable feat, I believe he actually went on to win at Interlagos. Unfortunately, because it was only him, and there were no driver changes, there weren't the minimum of 3 drivers behind the wheel at any time, then the team had to be non-classified for the event. So they didn't score any points, which was a shame for Andy, but I'm sure he'll have a team behind him this time that can help score those valuable points that he needs. He has at least one other teammate as just coming up as DAS Sim Racing Lab, but for the other machine, which is not very helpful. Well, I know though, I think it's Yannick Gothardson and Mikael Lundtoft who is joining him this weekend. So there's a team of 3, which is always positive because it means then with a team of 3, as long as all 3 of them drive in the race, they will score some lovely, lovely points. And don't we all just love points? We love points here. Points mean prizes. Who doesn't love points? Speaking of points, if you are just joining us in this practice session, very warm welcome to you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome along. And if you are just joining us, let me give you a reminder of how championship standings are looking at this point in time. With 2 rounds to go, 2 24-hour races left to go, I've asked very nicely to Peter to bring up those championship standings. He says he's on it, so I'm going to make sure he leave him to it. But we'll go with DPI first to see how it goes. Well, it's 40-point gap at the top of the table. Yes, you heard me right. 40 points. Burst Esports Simplexity at the top of the table. They've only dropped 1 point for the entire season, and that was because they missed out on pole position at Monza. So almost that perfect season so far, but it's been good enough to give them that 40-point lead over the number 17 of Unison Racing. Rounding off the top 3, it's the number 33 Team Adrenaline Machine. 4th place, the number 11 Sem9 Axel. 5th place, the number 1 car Team Vadukten. And then at the bottom of the table so far, XRL Esports, ready to get themselves off the mark after this weekend's worth of racing. Looking and shifting our focus onto the LMP2 championship standings. It is the Burst Esports Good Sunglasses machine. We did speak to Tom Aldermenger about those 2 wins. Hasn't been off the podium yet this season. Enough for 91 points so far. And Damien Scoffron is the reason behind that 100% pole position record. Sem9 Axel in the number 21 in 2nd place there when coming at Matsushita. Juice's Motorsport Club in the number 15, bringing home the last win of the season so far at Sebring. They're on 69 points in 3rd place. 4th place, the number 77 in Team Iris. The number 241 of Cyberlinks Racing is in 5th place on 17 points. And Team Iris rounding off our LMP2 Challenger Series on 6 points. The GTE Championship standings, again, another big gap. 32 points at the moment separates the number 74 Juice's Motorsports Club car with 2 wins to its name, ahead of the number 27 MCM Motorsport car, which won last time out at Interlagos at 94 and 62 points respectively. And then, my goodness, what a battle for 3rd place we have in this class. DAS Sim Racing Lab, the number 45 on 39 points. Of course, non-scorers at Interlagos due to that Andy Kurtzen solo effort. 67 at Mugen Sim Racing in 4th place on 39 points. Of course, looking to really take advantage of that one. 5th place, 717 Unison Racing on 38 points. 6th place, the 54 Musto Pescara car on 36 points. Then following them is the number 53 Musto Pescara car on 35 points. And at the bottom of the table so far, the 166 ID Simsport car on 33 points. Well, 6 positions separated by 6 points. It's poetry in motion. You could not make it up. GT3 Championship standings at the moment. Volante Racing leading by 13 points heading into the penultimate round of the GTR24H EEWC. 2 wins to their name so far this season. Glam Racing in second place with their win coming at Sebring. They also scored a podium in Interlagos last time out, which puts them on 65 points. Third place is the Treble 7 car, the DSR Gadget Husit Racing Machine on 54 points. The number 13 CKR Machine, their win coming at Monza this season, that puts them on 48 points. B32 Racing in 5th place in the standings. The 82 Mugen Sim Racing car in 6th place on 44 points, a gap point behind the B32 Racing car. And the number 188 Telefornigan is in the last position with 31 points. And those are your championship standings heading into the final 2 rounds of the EEWC here at GTR24H. There's Jesper Pedersen losing a rear wing, going through Speaker's corner and dropping that rear end. So easy to do when you carry just a little bit too much speed into Speaker's corner, but as Jesper did, he pressed escape. Oh, hello, there's someone facing the slight wrong way coming out of the source. Not something you often see from a camera angle panning around, but there we go. We'll see what our replays are tracking back for us. There's one of the Treble 7 cars making its way through in towards, I think that was towards Lacon, possibly, but I could have been wrong. Damien Scovron then is still the fastest driver in this session so far, and absolutely loving it out there at the moment. He's been lapping the circuit since we went broadcasting. He knows we're watching him. And being the only driver underneath the 2-minute barrier so far, well, it's fair to say that he wants that 100% qualifying record. Pole position every single race so far in the EEWC for Damien Scovron. He'll absolutely want to keep that going as far as possible. As here is Pedersen in the 166 car. I wonder what our cameras have picked up for the 166, the ID Simsport car, getting onto the curb and slightly out of shape coming out towards campus and hitting the wall. Very easy to do if you just take too much curb there, which is what looked like happened to Pedersen there. Michael Pedersen joining up this weekend with Magnus Bergreen and Thomas Brenegard. I hope I've pronounced that name right. It's always what do you call it? I've had drivers call me out in the past about name pronunciations. Believe it or not, it is funny. No, it was unrelated to the series actually. No one here said, "Oh, you've said my name wrong." I had it once before. I think it was an American who said, "No, this is how you pronounce my name, but don't worry, everyone gets it wrong." It's like, of all the nationalities to get a name wrong of, American. It's pretty much the closest language I speak to. English. And I got it wrong. It's bizarre. Very bizarre. But no one said I've completely butchered their name so far this season, so I'm calling that a victory. A small victory, if you like. Riding aboard then with Tom Aldermenger as he makes his way over Eau Rouge and Radion with the car on his left-hand side. They're quickly approaching I think that's one of the Acetec cars he's passed there. He then makes his way on towards Lacon. This quick right, then left. And you've got the right-hander of Malmedy coming up, using as much of the left-hand side of the track as you can to open up the corner, carry the speed through. You haven't got a lot of time to think before you head your way down towards Brussels. So easy to lock a front brake heading in towards the braking zone of Brussels if you try to carry a little bit too much speed. Then in towards Speaker's corner. back onto the power using that curb on the exit. And down, you're still descending as you make your way through pool, and then still descending through the double left-hander here, using that curb on the right-hand side. Braver man than I is Tom Aldermenger there. Before you briefly stop descending as we make our way now through in towards Leifania. A quick right-left before you size up the car then to go towards campus. Bit of curbing raised on the left-hand side to help the car almost camber it towards the right-hander. Then you make your way through Stavilo, and then you make your way now throttle fully to the floor, especially in these LMP2 cars, as you make your way towards Blanchimont, one of the fastest corners on the calendar, flat out through here. As we make our way then up we go, ascending once again in towards the final chicane. Leave it as late as you can on the brakes, attack the first apex, possibly even sacrifice the exit of the first part of the chicane to get you the optimum line through the second part of the apex. And we make our way then on towards La Source to bring us to a close of the lap, then chucking the car in and hoping it sticks before he makes his way down the hill and towards the timing line to complete a lap here at Spa-Francorchamps. This is the DPI, this is the XRL car, making and lapping its way around the circuit. I believe this is Josh Hughes as well in behind the car in that DPI, and making, well, light work coming out of Blanchimont there. Onto the anchors in towards the final chicane. And again, taking a slightly different line to get the apex. Really open up the lap as we make our way towards La Source. First corner or last corner. It's up to you which you call it here, but in the endurance layout, it's normally the last corner as we make our way down the hill towards the timing line with the pit lane on the right-hand side. And heading up towards Eau Rouge and Rally on Saturday for the first time will be daunting, to say the least. Very, very daunting as well. Tell you what's not daunting, a break from me. How about that? Join us after these commercial break messages.
The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
The GTR24H webshop is more than just a merchandise store. Our concept of Racing Proverbs carries a wide selection of t-shirts, cups and posters with selected proverbs from the racing and sim racing universe. If you are looking to have everyone recognize your passion for racing right away, try one of the t-shirts from the Racing Proverbs category. The current introduction sale runs until August 29th. You can also find copies of our race posters and podium posters available as both paper and metal plate posters, as well as jigsaw puzzles for both teams and fans alike. Have a look. Visit shop.gtr24h.org.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
you can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting GTR24H.org/VPN. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back then to the final half an hour of tonight's broadcast, which is off the official practice session of the EEWC 24 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps here at GTR24H. And if you're joining us now, a very warm welcome to you for this final half an hour of the broadcast. We have qualifying tomorrow with the 24-hour race kick-starting on Saturday afternoon, so hopefully you will join us for then. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single broadcast this weekend. Trust me, the way Spa-Francorchamps goes, it loves to throw up a little bit of a curveball every now and then. My advice is, I wouldn't miss it. I would not miss it. Anyway, we're here in practice here. Damien Scottrum has really been the talk of the town in tonight's practice session. The only driver still into that under the 2-minute barrier, if you like. And well, with track temperature and air temperature, they've been steadily increasing over the session, so that might be a cause as to why times have been sort of leveled off, tapered off in this session. Drivers, that's Rasmus Anderson getting all out of shape then. Andreasen, sorry, coming out of, well, the second part of the chicane. Was there contact made with that Porsche, I wonder? Is that why it went a little bit floaty, or did the car just let go on its own? Hard to tell from that angle. We don't know. We may never know. We may never know. Obviously, as well, a really invaluable piece of documentation you might want to have for this weekend is the EEWC 2022 spotter guide for Spa-Francorchamps, and you can go there by going to the link spotterguide.gtr24h.org. You go there, you've got a lovely little track map, you've got the timing link there where you can watch on and have the live timing open. The team radio there as well. Yeah, that's right, team radio, there's links to that, but it also gives you a real full and conclusive list of the teams racing this weekend, as well as the drivers, as well as their social media pages, their radio channel. That's right, you can tune into your team's radio channel and see what are they talking about at this point in the race. You'll be surprised what they start talking about 13 hours into a race, halfway through a stint. You would be very surprised the conversations that go on. Maybe worth a tune in at midnight. You just never know what conversations might come up. We're seeing here then Harvick making his way in towards La Source in that 777 car. Did we actually get Ciccolini in the other 777 car? I haven't seen him. He's the only driver in the 777 car that hasn't made his way out on track. And that's still the case. Come on, come on, Michael. If you can hear me, you've got about 20 minutes before the broadcast comes to an end. Go on. Be that final 777 driver out on track. 4 of them out on track at the moment. The most represented team in this official broadcasters practice session. Interesting to see as well the sort of strategies going on. Teams having a chat to us. We had Tom chatting to us earlier on in tonight's stream. Tom Aldermenger from the Championship Leaders of LMP2, the 94 Burst Esports Good Sunglasses, saying this is his joint favourite track on the calendar sorry, not on the calendar, of all time. With joint with COTA, Circuit of the Americas, which that's an interesting track to have second, I would have to say. But you know what? You know, with that high-speed S's section at COTA, you know, I can actually, it's coming together now. I'm not going to repeat what Peter just said to me. As it might be seen as blasphemy to some. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. Oh, no, I am not saying. Well, okay, I'm going to say it now. He said it wouldn't be second; it'd be second to last. Ouch! From Peter Munkholm behind the scenes. Ouch. The two 404 Glam Racing machines are currently out on circuit. One of them being Henrik Hoyer. We've seen lapping the circuit so far in this session. The other driver, well, is a mystery at the moment, to me anyway. In the GT3, did we have? No, Henrik Hoyer has clocked up, but whoever's in that 404, it's a mystery so far. Ooh, a mystery. We like a mystery. Come and grab the mystery machine. We parked it? We parked it. I'm understanding that there are a couple of issues with servers on, I believe, on an external end, which is why we're having a couple of issues with telemetry and whatnot. Hopefully, things will be ironed out. It's a practice session for everybody, including the timing server, which hopefully will be up and running and back to its strong best when we go qualifying tomorrow. We'll need it for qualifying tomorrow. We absolutely will. But the car at the front of the pairing of the Glam Racing cars is Henrik Hoyer. He now makes his way through in towards Stavolo and then back onto power, using that curve on what is the left-hand side of the track. And now building up the speed as we approach Blanchimont, one of the fastest corners on the calendar here. Chucking the car in and hoping it sticks as we now make our way onwards towards the final chicane, and maybe a bit of racing going on here between the Glam Racing cars. Whoever that was sending it up the inside may have been pre-orchestrated, but you know what? Hey, it looked good. It looked good. I'm hearing from our very good Peter Munkholm that it's Jeff Vanillen. Peter, please help. Peter, help me out here. Van Island. Thank you, Peter. Jeff Van Island, there you go. See, the one job you have as a commentator is get names right. There had to be one. Apparently Jeff is Dutch, so the V would be pronounced as an F. So it'd be Jeff Van Island. I'll tell you what, Peter, this is Telefoningen all over again at the very, very start of last season. I'm telling you, it's all over again. The amount of times I've etched Telefoningen in my mind, and there they are, the 188 car. The amount of times I would sit there saying, right, this is how I say it. Peter would also sit there with me, and I'd ask him, Peter, how do you say this team's name? He said, it's really simple. It's Telefoningen. Just really quickly. Telefoningen. There you go. That's how it's actually said. Telefoningen. And, myself and Chris Buxton, we always have trouble with that team name because in the heat of the moment, we just go back to, you know what they say, old habits die hard. And we go back to the butchered way we say it. We'll try the actual way of saying it throughout this weekend. Myself and Chris Buxton with you for the weekend, and also we have someone joining us for the commentary. Chris will be there with the news tomorrow for the qualifying session. Hopefully you can join us for then as well. Don't forget that lovely little spotter guide as well. That has all of the, not only has all the information about teams and drivers and their team radios, but it also has the calendar for the remainder of the season at Spa-Francorchamps and Le Mans. And qualifying tomorrow for Danish drivers. Chris Johansson is one of the fastest Danish sim racers out there at the moment in the Spa-Francorchamps car. And seeing what his lap times will be in this practice session. First couple of laps out onto the circuit. Yeah, I agree with Peter. Let's keep an eye on him and see what sort of lap times he can do in this session. And, well, we've got 15 minutes left at least in this broadcast. Let's see what sort of lap times you can put on there. 15 minutes, you're looking at roughly 2 minutes 15 a lap. Let's just say as average, because you can go quicker than the 2:15 in GT cars. But what's that going to be? That's going to be a lot of maths. But we should see about 5 or 6 laps, hopefully, from Chris this evening before we have to go off air. Let's see what he can do. But the spotter guide, yes, it has all of the calendar information for the rest of the season, so it'll be able to mark down in your diaries as well. Qualifying 1 tomorrow evening is at 1900 CEST, that's Central European Summertime, so make sure you adjust accordingly in your respective time zones. With qualifying 2 is at 21:30 for the CEST. And of course, on the website as well at GTR24H.org, you can synchronize the calendar to your device, so you'll be reminded automatically when the session is upcoming. Technology these days is great, isn't it? It's down at the bottom of the calendar page, so if you head to the website GTR24H.org, head to the calendar page, it's at the bottom to sync your calendar with your device, so it all appears automatically, so you don't have to go around thinking, oh no, what time is it on? You'll know because it's there. But qualifying 1 due at 1900 Central European Summertime, and then qualifying 2 is at 21:30 Central European Summertime. Make sure you adjust to your time zones accordingly. So, Spa-Francorchamps still riding on board with Chris Johansson as he makes his way then in towards Lake Om, sizing up towards Malmedy and that BMW. It's a big car, the BMW. I'm sure we've all seen the jokes and the memes over the years of how big this car actually is, but it's a big contender. It is, apparently, I'm told by sim racers, it's the M4. Oh, that's a shame. Whoa, that's Chris off into the wall though, and a tyre off going in towards Speaker's Corner in that M4. Oh, it's still a big car anyway, the M4. It's got quite a longish wheelbase, long compared to, say, the Aston Martin out in the grid as well. So let's well, Peter just said, let's watch Chris do this all over again. That's harsh, Peter. But coming in towards Speaker's Corner, it just looked like the back end didn't want to play anymore, and maybe just putting the power down slightly too early there. Back end just went away from mid-corner, so that normally indicates power down, having a little bit of issues there. And just a call out to drivers out there, this is one of your last chances. If you want to have a chat to us in this practice session, we have the green room free on the TeamSpeak server. Whoa, there's the XRL car getting wildly out of control over Radion, which is one of the scariest places to have an off. It doesn't matter whether it's motorsport or sim racing, that is a damn scary place to go off, as it's such a blind apex. But to all the drivers there, if you're in the TeamSpeak server, the green room is your place to go if you want to have a chat on stream with us. We'd love to have a chat with you if that is your way inclined towards the end of our broadcast. But I've had a lot of fun here tonight, thinking and racking my brain as to who will be looking out for tomorrow in tomorrow's qualifying sessions. Of course, if you're new to GTR24H, or where have you been, but not a bad time to join us, a very warm welcome to you. 2 qualifying sessions tomorrow, and your fastest time from both sessions are added together and divided by 2, so it gives you your average lap time, and that is what is decided to put you on the grid for Saturday's race, or I should say Saturday and Sunday's race. The race starting on Saturday is probably more accurate to say there. but an average lap time across the 2 sessions of your best lap time is taken, and that is what's decided, and that's how your grid position is decided for the 24-hour race here at the EEWC. And it looks like here Damon Scoffron, but in the LMP2 cars, is looking mightily quick. He's looked, no matter what track we've thrown at him this season, he has found that perfect performance, that perfect setup, that perfect lap underneath him to grab pole position at every single round so far this season. He's only got 2 more rounds, 4 more qualifying sessions to just put in perfect lap times over the course of the season. Interesting to see if he can hang on to that 100% perfect record, or who could it be to spoil Damon Scoffron's perfect qualifying season. I guess we're just going to have to wait until tomorrow to find out. There's, I believe that's Andy Kurtzen, who's making his way through in towards Speaker's Corner with the XRL hypercar right behind him. Hypercar moves to the right-hand side, sweeping through, taking in towards the double left-hander of Pouon. Acetec Sim Sports, of course, the GT3 championship leaders, definitely ones to watch going in towards qualifying tomorrow. Maciej Kasperczyk is one of those to watch. Now, he's made a couple of errors in this practice session, but to be honest, that's the perfect time to make errors in a practice session. In the low risk, low punishment practice sessions, this is where you want to push the limits too far. So you learn from them and say, well, actually, okay, that was too much. What if I try 1% less? Do I still get around the corner, or do I still push it too hard? This is the perfect last chance to come up with that theory. Interestingly, we haven't had many hypercars in this practice session, so it's a bit difficult to say who might have the upper hand coming into the qualifying session tomorrow. But looking at the basis of the qualifying over qualifying this season, 4 out of the 5 pole positions have gone to Bursport Esport Simplexity. So it's a pretty safe bet to bet on the 18 going in towards the DPI qualifying sessions tomorrow. I say DPI qualifying sessions. In the DPI qualifying competition. It's probably a more accurate word, as all the cars will be out on track together. Looking at LMP2s, as we've already said, Burst Esports, Gooder Sunglasses, Damien Scoffron looks in fine form at the moment. We've also talked about Acetec Racing in the GT3 class. For GTE, well, MCM Motorsport have the 2 fastest drivers in the class at the moment, Ivan Aguado and Angel Banegas, at the top of the GTE orders so far. So 212.969 from Aguado, top of the GTE order. So those are your cars to be watching out for tomorrow in qualifying. So make sure you do tune in for that one. We'd love to have you along for what unfolds as the drama unfolds in tomorrow's qualifying session. Might as well have one. Come on then, what's the weather like for this last 10 minutes of our stream? Is there any last chance rain, last gasp rain at the end of our stream here tonight? There's your answer. No. Absolutely bone dry. No, there's no point in me even dramatising that. Absolutely no rain. Clear as you like, which is always great, because whenever we come, I'm specifically reminded of Monza, I think it was last year, in the EEWC, where we were tempted with rain all throughout it, throughout practice, throughout qualifying, throughout part of the race as well. It's like, there's rain coming and it's going to be heavy. Didn't arrive in practice, didn't arrive in qualifying, and it arrived at a time in the race where I wasn't behind the mic. So I'd waited all that time for rain, and it came when I was away. It was sad. I remember Chris Buxton sort of telling me, well, the rain's come down when you went away. I was the good luck charm for once. So it was. Looking at 24 hours time though, looking at 1% chance of rain in 24 hours time. So we'll be partway through the qualifying session there, but we're looking at possible drizzle going in towards the weekend, at least in the qualifying session, but it's a very, very low chance of rain. So the drivers will be hoping they'll be having a dry qualifying session tomorrow, and that will ensure for us we get the fastest times possible, which is exactly what you want to see. exactly what you want to see. But the final 2 rounds of the season then of the EEWC, both 24-hour races, and in the words of the man we interviewed earlier on tonight, Tom Aldermenger, what's the difference between a 12-hour and a 24-hour? Is there a different mindset? He said there's more dread. That's the quote of the night so far from Tom Aldermenger. But he was in good spirits. The team are having a great season so far. As we said, that 100% qualifying record. Damien Scoffron, as we hear from Tom, he's confident he wants to keep continuing on. He's the reason they've been on that pole position. All eyes will be set for tomorrow's qualifying session. And, well, with the timings, there have been a couple of issues, so we do apologise for those, but Damien Scoffron still the fastest driver out there with that 1:59.680, and so far the only driver below the 2-minute barrier. Tom Aldermenger, 2 minutes exactly. Again, you couldn't get that lap even if you tried. If you tried to get 2 minutes absolutely flat, bang on, you could still not get that lap time. At 2 minutes flat for Tom Aldermenger. Then it's the mystery driver in the XRL esports car. 2 minutes 0.6 we believe is a test driver for XRL. We have not seen a lot of Rasmus Andreasen so far, but he is, I think, out there in this session at the moment. 201.7, in fact, there he is, heading his way through Lefonia as he then makes his way up towards campus. He's currently third in session, and you'll never guess which team he's driving for. Burst Esports good at sunglasses. I believe in LMP2, they are the only team out there, so the 4 drivers making use of the track they've got to themselves in terms of LMP2 cars. And I just want to check. No, all 4 of them are on track. No, there's one more. There's one more who isn't there. So Rasmus Andreasen, you've got Tom Aldermenger, Damien Scoffron, and what? The name is Henningsen. Well, I don't see Henningsen in their driver lineup. You've got Xiao Pitais and Cameron Roger are their final 2 drivers. So could be a case of maybe testing, perhaps. It does size up. Big weekend here at Spa-Francorchamps with the Ardennes Forest throwing all sorts of weather. Unpredictability is the order of the day. Whoa, that's a back end getting loose there, and very much well held there. Very well held indeed. I think that deserved a round of applause on its own, I'll be honest with you. I will be completely honest with you. Making our way in towards Blanchimont then. It's going to be Artem Shulaev as he makes his way down in towards final chicane. Is that 17 Unison racing car of Artem Shulaev, almost completing another lap of the circuit. Not long left in this stream of tonight. Of course, the practice session will go on, so all the links will still be available. If you want to tune into things like team radio, you can absolutely do that over the course of the weekend. And just as a final reminder, spotterguide.gtr24h.org. You've got a fantastic document of all the teams, drivers, liveries, numbers, classes. All of those will be available to you, as well as if you keep scrolling down, you have those wonderful links as well as the calendar. Don't forget as well, on the GTR24H website, that's gtr24h.org. If you click on the calendar section of the website, you can have a lovely button at the bottom, easy for me to say, that syncs the calendar with your device. So it inputs all the times, all the dates for you. You don't have to worry about a thing. And it just sets up reminders to remind you to tune in. That's just what a world we live in. Absolutely fantastic. As we see then that Unison car running slightly wide on the exit of Pouon, but just about getting away with it. You've got plenty of runoff area anyway to really help you recover. So what have we learned from tonight's practice session? Well, Damien Scoffron pretty much picking up where he left off. Looking at the times at the moment, he looks really good. for tomorrow's race. It will be interesting to see, because we haven't seen a lot of the hypercars here tonight in this practice session, or at least on this stream. We haven't seen a lot of the hypercars. We've seen there the Unison racing car of Artem Shulev lapping the circuit. Unfortunately, with those timing issues, we're not quite sure how fast he is, whether he's matching or beating the LMP2 cars, or whether the LMP2 cars are going to be the most superior force. I guess we'll just have to wait until qualifying to really find out and put a pin in that until tomorrow's racing action. Timing. Okay, I've been clarified as to what the issue is. The hosting of the timing data is the issue, not the timing itself. That's the clarification I've got there. So a couple of external issues that hopefully are done by others to get on top of, so that we can have some timing tomorrow. Because qualifying, we need it for qualifying. Come on, external sources, sort it out. We need to know who's on pole for tomorrow's racing. And speaking of qualifying, as the Unison car gets a snap of oversteer heading out of Les Combes, we're pretty much coming to the closing point of tonight's stream for the official practice session, and it's been a pleasure to ramble to you. That's what it's felt like tonight, hasn't it? It's a lot of me talking, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've had an insight into what to expect for tomorrow, and also has enticed you to tune in for qualifying tomorrow. If you want to tune in tomorrow, it's 1900 Central European Summertime. Please adjust your times accordingly as well. And hopefully we will see you tomorrow for 2 qualifying sessions with the average lap time gathered, the 2 best lap times in your session, add them together, divide them by 2, and that's your time for qualifying overall. That will decide your grid position for the race starting on Saturday. Well, for myself, Kieran McGinley, it's been a pleasure to bring this practice session to you, and hopefully we'll see much more of you and you'll see much more of us over the weekend. Until tomorrow, take care of yourselves, have a very good evening, and good night.
The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
The GTR24H webshop is more than just a merchandise store. Our concept of racing proverbs carries a wide selection of t-shirts, cups and posters with selected proverbs from the racing and sim racing universe. If you are looking to have everyone recognize your passion for racing right away, try one of the t-shirts from the racing proverbs category. We are regularly adding new products, and all new products started with an introduction discount of minimum 10% for a limited time period. The current introduction sale runs until August 29th. You can also find copies of our race posters and podium posters available as both paper and metal plate posters, as well as jigsaw puzzles for both teams and fans alike. The store is run in partnership with our fulfillment partner Printful, producing the products on demand and shipping from Charlotte in North Carolina, Los Angeles in California, Toronto in Canada, Riga in Latvia, and Barcelona in Spain. That way there is minimum shipment time and no production overhead. Have a look, visit shop.gtr24h.org.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the digital snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry, NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting GTR24H.org/VPN. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Kender du ikke det der, når du kommer ind til en fest, så ser du fyren, hvor du bare tænker, wow, han ser godt ud. Det er tøjet fra golvet. Vi har lige siden 1930, det vil sige 4 generationer, serviceret folk, der gerne vil være klassisk klædt med et lille twist. Vi ligger her 100 meter fra rådspladsen og er klar til at servicere dig med ærlighed, god rådgivning og vejledning, som du ikke har oplevet før. Er du den mand blandt alle, som skiller sig ud, eller gerne vil skille dig ud, så kig ind til mig, så skal jeg hjælpe dig godt på vej.
The GTR24H webshop is more than just a merchandise store. Our concept of racing proverbs carries a wide selection of t-shirts, cups and posters with selected proverbs from the racing and sim racing universe. If you are looking to have everyone recognize your passion for racing right away, try one of the t-shirts from the racing proverbs category. The current introduction sale runs until August 29th. You can also find copies of our race posters and podium posters available as both paper and metal plate posters, as well as jigsaw puzzles for both teams and fans alike. Have a look. Visit shop.gtr24h.org.